Hello, Chamber faithful. I'm Jeremy Field, the Director of Government Affairs for the Boise Metro Chamber of Commerce, and this is Advocacy in Action, a moment where we reflect on the week the Policy Committee met and what bills we're following, supporting, opposing that have an impact on our business community. So we're always here doing the work for you, and we appreciate the ability to do it. So with that, let's get right into it. The first bill we want to talk about is House Bill 677. Jim Addis is the sponsor of this particular piece of legislation. It's reported out of the House of Rev and Tax Committee with a due pass recommendation on March 3rd. It prohibits the Oregon Department of Revenue's extension of its corporate activity tax on an Idaho business with no physical location in the state of Oregon. An example of this, and the reason that this legislation has been brought, and here's what I gather. So if an Oregonian comes to Idaho to purchase a car, Oregon can't require that the Idaho business collect taxes on behalf of Oregon. It's really that simple. The Chamber supports this legislation, and we hope that it'll continue to pass in the Senate and get across the governor's desk soon. Next, we have House Bill 678. It currently resides in the House Rev and Tax Committee. Its sponsors are Representatives Mike Moyle and Beston Manwaring. It's the Idaho Semiconductors for America Act. It pairs with federal legislation with the goal of bringing home our semiconductor chip production to the United States of America and expanding that. You know, recently we've seen with both the supply chain issues as a result of the pandemic, but also just the volatility that's in the world, whether it be a Russian aggression or China claiming that Taiwan is their sovereign territory. We're seeing potential disruptions in the world's, or continued disruptions in the world's semiconductor chip production. And so these legislations are here to bring those productions back home so that we're not so reliant on our partners overseas. This is has bipartisan support, both at the state and the federal level. H678 will make Idaho more competitive once these bills are signed into law, so that as semiconductor companies like Micron and ON look to enhance their chip production in the United States of America, Idaho is a very attractive place for them to do business. It'll be a very competitive economic development market. We'll be competing with other states who will also want to have these wonderful jobs and these incredible companies expand. And we applaud our legislature for taking the efforts that they need to help Idaho see those jobs come here. So Chamber supports this bill, and we hope Micron and ON Semiconductor out of Pocatello continue to grow their footprint here in the great state of Idaho. Next, we have House Bill 718. Sponsored by David Cannon, it currently resides in the House Rev and Tax Committee. Right now, taxpayers are accountable on underpaid taxes for 10 years, and that's with penalties and interest included. But there's only a 3-year window to claim credit for overpaid taxes. This bill extends the right to claim overpaid taxes to a 10-year window. It's equitable tax policy, and the Chamber supports it. Next, we have the House Joint Memorial 5. It's a message to the Governor of Washington opposing a proposed state of Washington law that would impose a tax on fuel exported by Washington to Idaho. This bill narrowly failed a House floor vote in Washington this week. We support the legislature in sending this message to the state of Washington, as it is a violation of the Commerce Clause. Next, we have Senate Bill 1334. Passed in the Senate on February 25th, S. 1334 currently resides in the House Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee. Brought by the Idaho Department of Corrections and Idaho Correctional Industries, the bill allows Idaho Correctional Industries to create an additional inmate training program for call center work and training. These programs provide workforce training to inmates and a chance for them to make restitution to parties damaged by their crimes. Rehabilitation research has highlighted how recidivism rates drop as a result of these types of programs, and the Chamber supports this bill. If you're interested in the topic of workforce training in our prison system, the AP has an interesting article out just today called Inmates Leaving Gangs, Stripping Taps for Jobs, Better Lives. We fully support this legislation and everything we can do to rehabilitate men and women in our correctional facilities. Senate Bill 1338 was brought by sponsor Senator Jim Guthrie. This bill was brought on behalf of the Idaho Press Club and tangentially the League of Women Voters. It passed the Senate on March 2nd and is still waiting a committee home in the House. Press voting groups and chambers alike are experiencing difficulty contacting every candidate for office in their areas. In fact, one of our sister chambers up north did a candidate forum, and they were unable to contact one of the candidates because they didn't have good contact information from the Secretary of State's registry. Well, that candidate learned about the forum, was upset, and came in the middle of the forum and raised an issue of not being invited. And it was simply a matter that they couldn't be found. That multiple attempts were made to contact this person, and it just didn't happen. So the Chamber supports this bill so that we can have these forums, and that press, groups like the Chamber and the League of Women Voters, all alike, have the ability to invite people to participate in their candidate forums. Finally, we are in support of a JFAC budget line item called the Child Care Expansion Grant. The Chamber is encouraging the JFAC committee to keep this line item. Currently, it is estimated that Idaho is short 20,000 spots for children to receive child care. The lack of affordable and available child care is a major driver of Idaho's labor shortage. A $50 million grant utilizing ARPA funding would provide infrastructure or operating grants for startup or expansion of child care. The Idaho Workforce Development Council believes these investments would create 3,000 more available spots for children and their parents needing care. Since the ARPA funds are being borrowed from these future generations, it makes sense that we utilize these federal funds for their needs. And so the Chamber supports this, and we encourage JFAC to move on it. Really appreciate your time that you spent with us this week for Advocacy in Action. We will continue to work on issues that benefit the business community and our membership. And with that, we'll see you next time.